as I grew up, mental health was not something that you could be open about. I don't know how you grew up, but I know for
No,
me, and I feel like
exactly the
for
same.
others, it's like if you're going to see someone, then that meant that you or someone in your family was probably a little off, and maybe you're not the one to hang out with right now.
Right.
And so then there's that whole aspect of vulnerability, and instead of where we're getting to, I think, as a collective whole, which is, okay, mental health is as important as our physical health. We need our mental and emotional health. And when you have someone who's in a leadership position like you or myself or others who are willing to come out and say, no, it's okay. Even I go see someone because
Right.
I want to stay ahead of it. Prevention is better than having to go and repair. I don't want to
That's right.
repair. So
Right.
it's so nice to have that be a shift. But again, it comes from internal framework, right? And
It
if there's
does.
a tiny little crack in my foundation, it's easier to repair than if it's like this huge foundational issue.
Absolutely agree. And I mean, certainly the pandemic was, very stressful for everyone. For certainly the unknown of, like, let's say, the first month, and ultimately, obviously, it had disparate impact on different people. But generally, the legal profession, professional services organizations did okay ultimately through all the, the financial piece of it. But it was all the unknown at the beginning. And there, I remember vividly about 2 weeks in, and it was all the stuff about, how do we, have some temporary pay cuts, and do we have to put people on furlough because there's really nothing you can do because we don't need a catering person because nobody's going to the office, all that stress. And I finally, one Sunday, I just emailed our COO and a couple other leaders and said, next 2 hours, I'm going to sit on my back porch and listen to music, because the cracks were there. And I just knew I got it. I just had to get away. As something as simple as that. I mean, it doesn't have to be 2 hours, but I just literally walking outside where there's some trees and listening to a favorite album, that it helped that crack seal up, or at least keep it that just a crack, rather than expanding. So I love the analogy, Amber, and you're exactly right.
So, with all this experience that you have and what you're doing to put together this nonprofit organization, do you have written materials that people can access, or do you plan to create written materials that people can access?
Yes, I know this feels like, this is early. And it's the, what's that proverb? The plane, building the plane while it's flying. But I do have,
Uh-huh.
so I have a website that is launching any day. Hopefully, by the time the podcast is on, it'll be on there, and it will have some video content of just some basic leadership ideas as a starting point. I've got the 6-month training manual that will be on there. That we're now in testing it by actually using it. So it'll be the failing forward. I'll learn this works, this doesn't work. So we're in the process of leading some of that. And then I do have a book that I've written called Everybody Leads. That it's I just last night got the editors the draft, the comments back. So now I've got to find the time to work on that. But all that will be ultimately on everybodyleads.org, and as we keep moving it forward. So making progress.
Well, that's fantastic. Talk about living what you talk about. There's no better way to do that, right?